Dear lovely viewers, hello and thank you for watching The Lowdown. On today's show we have this pleasure of welcoming to our panel Alan Locke, Zora Neale Hurston, Langston Hughes, and George Schuyler. Each panelist will present their intellectual and artistic thoughts on Negro art. Later on the show we will also have the pleasure of the enlightenment of Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, Locke with The Lowdown.
The old Negro had long become more a myth than a man. The old Negro of today be seen through other than the dusty spectacles of past controversies. A main change has been, of course, that shifting of the Negro population, which has made the Negro problem no longer exclusively or even predominantly Southern. The Negro rapidly in process of class differentiation. If it ever was warrantable to regard and treat the Negro en masse, it is becoming with every day less possible, more unjust, and more ridiculous. Movement toward the larger and the more democratic chance, in the Negro's case a deliberate flight, not only from countryside to city, but from a medieval America to modern. The old, intelligent Negro of today is resolved not to make discrimination an excuse for his shortcoming in performance, individual or collective. It does not follow that if the Negro were better known, he would be better liked. The Negro of today is moving forward largely under the control of his own objectives. The thinking Negro has shifted a little toward the left world trending, and there is an increasing group who affiliate with radical and liberal movements. The Negro is radical on race matters, conservative on others, in other words, a forced radical, social Protestant rather than genuine radical. All paths toward the attainment of sound social attitude have been difficult. Not only a relatively few enlightened minds have been able, as the phrase puts it, to rise above prejudice. Whatever the general effect, the present generation will have added the motives of self-expression and spiritual development to the old and still unfinished task of making material headway and progress in our lifetime. The Negro should not be able to celebrate his initiation into American democracy. He can at least, on the warrant of these things, celebrate the attainment or of significant and satisfying new phase of group development, and with it a spiritual coming of age.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. Now, being the Langston Hughes, I'm extremely overjoyed to introduce Mr. George Schuyler, who will educate us in his older mind as he bores us in his discussion of his new essay titled The Negro Art Holcomb. Take it away, Jorge.
I couldn't have asked for a better introduction, typical coming from the ignorant. Now, to start, I would like to say that everything you know about this so-called Negro art is a lie. Hokum, as I like to put it. Why? Because there's nothing Negro about it. If you bothered to look, you'd see how ridiculous the idea of Negro art is. In it, I ask you not to look at our culture as a black man, but an American who sees our culture as an American culture. If you understand where I'm going with this, then you'll clearly see that there is no need to distinguish African from American when we're all American to begin with. This idea of Negro art you all cling to so dearly is a hoax of something that is without a doubt American art. That is my essay, and if you'd like to learn more, by all means, feel free to be enlightened.
Now that Schuyler has kindly graced us with his less than exciting discussion of his new essay, The Negro Art Holcomb, he has told us all that there is no distinction between African art and American art. However, he is wrong in his theory because I believe there is a difference between people, whether we are seen as Americans or as Africans. I have written a famous rejoinder called The Negro Artist and the Racial Mountain to censure his theory, as well as propose my own on Negro art in America. While writing this essay, I came across a young black poet who said he wished to be a great poet, just not a black one, meaning that he was basing his desires on the notion which society has trained us to believe in, the idea that everything associated with whiteness is seen as valuable, moral, good, and desired. I was deeply hurt by this poet's desires because his word yelled out his desire clearly. He desired to be white. Race is a mountain standing in the way of any true Negro art in America because of this ludicrous urge. Sorry, I'm going to just start that over with. Race is a mountain standing in the way of any true Negro art in America because of this ludicrous urge within the race towards whiteness, the desire to pour racial individuality into the mold of American standardization and to be as little Negro and as much American as possible. This idea of being American does not include race.
Wiser choices have never been made by such an individual like that black person. What you were seen as Bert Williams, Aunt Jemima, Uncle Tom, those are things of the past. Your average Afro-American no more resembles a stereotype than the average American resembles a composite of Andy Gump or Jim Jeffries. You are just as civilized as the white Americans, so why are you trying to distinguish yourself from them anymore? Where in Africa does the African read and write in English? I see no relation in the clothes you wear to the ones worn in Africa. Do not deny the truth. All of you. You and I dress, eat, and sleep like the white man does now. We speak the same language with the same degree of perfection as any other American. So without restriction, I believe this discussion has been brought to a close. Negro identity is nothing but a hoax, a bitter resentment towards our white neighbors. Cease the senseless argument over this joke of Negro art.
Shut the front door, Skylar. Instead of claiming that race does not matter in our society based on your conclusions that we are all just Americans because we desire the same things, you should see that we draw a color line amongst society and us. It is a very high mountain indeed for the would-be racial artist to climb in order to discover himself and his people, not placed in a standardized category for just being an American. Skylar, you need to cut the cord and walk outside. In Negro art, they have a hold on their own individuality in the face of American standardization, which you keep arguing for. American standardization is not the answer, nor is it the justification for art made in America. In literature, drama, music, and dance, the Negro artist can give his racial individuality, his heritage of rhythm and warmth, and his incongruous humor that so often, as in blues, becomes ironic laughter mixed with tears. Not embracing race or artistic individuality when you push for everything to be an American standard. Why should we want to be standardized? I am Negro and beautiful. An artist must be free to choose what he does, certainly, but he must also never be afraid to do what he might choose. We younger Negro artists who create now intend to express our individual dark-skinned selves without fear or shame. We should embrace ourselves for who we are and not be confined to an American standardization of society.
Okay, so you want to walk in? And you guys can walk out. Okay, go for it.
I believe that there are characteristics of what I call Negro expression. Every phase of Negro life is highly dramatized, and by this I mean everything is acted out. No little moment passes unadorned. Drama is just one characteristic of Negro expression. However, there are many more characteristics such as dancing, folklore, and rhetoric. I will now read a poem that I consider to emphasize my point of rhetoric through Negro expression. I ain't gonna mistreat my good gal anymore. I'm just gonna kill her next time she makes me sore. I treat her kind, but she don't do me right. She fights and quarrels most every night. I can't have no woman's got such low down ways. 'Cause the blue gum woman ain't the style nowadays.